It's called leadership. Leadership. What does leadership mean? Do we see a lot of leadership? You don't actually hear the word leadership all that often. It used to be like this amazing skill, trait to be studied and honed and practiced and taught. But nobody ever really talks about leadership. What is it? Is it making somebody do what you want them to do? Inspiring somebody to do what you want them to do? Maybe it's a lot of things to different people, but we know it when we see it, and we know it when we don't see it, right? When it's not there, it's very obvious. D-Day. America led the world in liberating Europe, and that was spectacular, and it was national leadership. Mayor Rudy Giuliani on September 11, 2001. George W. Bush was hiding in Air Force One. Rudy Giuliani became the de facto leader of America. How about Tom Brady? Yeah, I know people have their, a lot of people are jealous of him, for crying out loud. 2017, what was he down by in the third quarter in the Super Bowl? 2 minutes left in the third quarter, the Patriots were down 25 points. And what did that son of a gun pull off? Victory! That is leadership. What was the final score of that game? That was really special. And of course, this is leadership. President Trump, trial by fire, literal trial, going through that adversity and emerging triumphant, taking a shot and not letting it get him down, not getting beaten, and getting to the office and fulfilling the promises and fighting for us every single day. This is the moment he pardoned the January 6ers, his very first night in office. We know leadership when we see it, and we certainly know when it's lacking. California, state and local people there, officials cannot lead. They have fried their brains on wokeness, political correctness, Trump derangement syndrome. Take these things full. They don't have the skill, the talent, they're not practiced. They just spend all of their time being irate about stupid stuff. They can't quell this. The cops are great, but they need augmentation and they need support of the political leaders. And it's too late if you start supporting them in the middle of the crisis. You got to be there every step of the way. You can't demonize law enforcement for years, talk about defunding the police, right? And then suddenly expect everything to be okay. Things are not okay in California. It's really incredible. And I think we have an example of what I would call attempted murder. This maniac throwing big rocks at law enforcement as they go by. Pump up the volume. There is a lawlessness in Los Angeles. It is out of control. And we can make these assessments, yes, by watching television. We can. And I'll show you actually how the left says this is the way to make the assessment. This is the way to make the decision. Have you seen all the Mexican flags, by the way? What's that all about? I mean, all right, most of you have fled Mexico for various reasons. Now you're celebrating Mexico while you're here illegally and burning the American flag. If you want to be here so bad, you know, it just doesn't, it's not making sense. It's not logical. Then again, rioters, right? When are they going to be logical? I have noticed in the coverage, haven't heard the word rioter all that much. I hear demonstrator, I hear protester, I hear peaceful protester, but you see the images and I see the images. And you know that California can't lead its way out of this, not with Gavin Newsom at the helm. In the midst of this crisis, drop the banner, please. Gavin Newsom is doing podcasts with some podcast bro. That's Gavin Newsom in a room somewhere by himself, nobody else, just that dude and a microphone. He doesn't know what to do. He can't do anything. All he's been doing is combing his hair and brushing his teeth for all these years and watching his weight. It is beyond pathetic. And he's feeling it. You know, notice there's nobody else in the room. This is the operations center, right? Where is everybody? Can I see? Take it full one more time, and you can tell, all right? It's like, oh boy, I can only fool. He is hating his life some right now. You can only fool people for so long, and his act has worn thin a long, long time ago. Now, he does have a base in California, something of a base. The culture there is pretty special, pretty weird. So we see the cars on fire. Have you heard this? One of their news commentators, one of their main anchors there on ABC 7 local, had this to say about the riot where the cars were being burned.
There's a large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
Wow. California. Weed is legal in California, right? That guy is, I mean, one more time. Let's just make sure we heard him right? He says these people are just having fun watching the cars burn. And oh boy, if law enforcement got involved, that would be a problem.
There's a large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation between officers and demonstrators.
You wouldn't want fire or police in there. Yeah, it could be volatile. Not as though an explosion is volatile, not volatile. We wrote this out. Just for the record, just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. The culture is, that's it. They are really crazy out there. Now, I know there's MAGA country in California as well, and they're pushing back, and they need help. But the infrastructure is lost, the intellectual infrastructure. All right, back to Gavin Newsom, doing these weird podcasts in a totally deserted so-called emergency operations center. This is what happens when you spend most of your time trying to get popular in the podcast world. You know, he has a podcast now. Even conservatives want to be on it for some reason. He has absolutely no answers. He has no clue on what to do.
Let me give you the opportunity. You mentioned that there are people out there causing mischief and mayhem. What's your message to those people who are out there tonight? Not the peaceful protesters that are out there protesting for the rights of immigrants, but for the people that are doing damage to buildings, to law enforcement out there.
Well, they're doing more than damage to buildings and to property. They're potentially damaging the very foundation of our republic. The democracy is in the balance.
Still of his message. They asked him, what are you going to tell these people out there who are raging around? He said something about nothing, actually. Foundations of our democracy. He sounds like he's on MSNBC talking about January 6th, right? Keep going.
You're seeing these authoritarian tendencies now are being acted out by this administration. And we're case in point as it relates to nationalizing, federalizing the National Guard, threatening now to put in Marines. So I hope these people would pause and just consider. Now, some of them, they want that kind of chaos. Some ways, they're adjacent to where Donald Trump is.
All right. The message to the rioters is just consider. Okay, you got that guy on the roof with the flag? Just consider, Mr. Adjacent to President Trump. This is it. This is the best they got. Blame Trump. This mess is Trump's fault.
But Donald Trump needs to pull back. He needs to stand down. Donald Trump is inflaming these conditions. This is Donald Trump's problem right now, and if he can't solve it, we will.
How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that, tough guy? Why haven't you done it already? All right, and where are all your lieutenants? Where are? He's bored of being governor. That's the word. He just wants to be president. And the wild part is, this guy is actually considered like a viable candidate for president in the Democrat Party. In a healthy society, this man would be banished, right? That's it. All right. Now, that's Jacob Soboroff he's talking to on the MSNBC. Let's go to the podcast bro. All right. What's that conversation like? It just looks like he has nothing but time. Just chilling, like he's in the waiting room of Jiffy Lube or something like that. What? He's just not a care in the world. But he's thinking as he goes along. Watch.
There's no state National Guard that had been requested by local law enforcement because they had adequate resources. And Donald Trump knew that. His chief of staff knew that. They didn't care about that. And so they wanted to create conditions that would get worse because of their ignorance and recklessness.
He is in big trouble when you start talking like this, recklessness. It wasn't just a few months ago, right during the fire. This is where I first took my real hard look at Gavin Newsom. In the middle of the crisis, all he would do was drive around looking for TV crews. But when he wasn't doing that, he had nothing to do. Look at him. You can just tell. Hands in your back pockets? Are you the governor? Are you in charge? You're not. You're along for the ride. That's it. Why even be the governor? You know what I mean? Why? So we know one person who knows how to take charge, don't we?
On California, are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Yeah, we're not going to let our, that's not great. So they federalized the National Guard and going into California. And the proud and brave guardsmen are in there. How many has it been so far? You know, not that many, 2,000. First 1,000 were on the ground, another 1,000 expected tonight. Let's see, after that, the Marine Corps may be going in. That's kind of cool when you think about it. How many Marines? 700 or so Marines from 29 Palms, California. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, some people are horrified by this. Of course, they either have no sense of history or no memory, but anybody remember this guy in 1992?
I just want to say, you know, can we all get along? Can we get along?
I remember seeing that on TV live. Rodney King. You know, you say what you will about Rodney King. I thought those were beautiful words for that moment, right? L.A. was going crazy because of the not guilty verdict. And boy, oh boy, were they going crazy. Reginald Denny, the truck driver. Anybody remember this?
Drivers of automobiles and trucks that enter this area can expect to, oh, look at that. Terrible. And there's no police presence down here. They will not enter the area. That's right. This is attempted murder.
Attempted murder. So President Bush sent in the Marines and federalized the Guard. Logical thing to do. 1992.
What followed Wednesday's jury verdict in the Rodney King case was a tragic series of events for the city of Los Angeles. Nearly 4,000 fires, staggering property damage, hundreds of injuries, and the senseless deaths of over 30 people. I directed 3,000 members of the 7th Infantry and 1,500 Marines to stand by at El Toro Air Station, California.
And they didn't stand by for very long. Pretty soon they were on the move into Los Angeles. United States federal troops, the military, in downtown LA. And that was good. And it's good now. Some of the troops, by the way, watched President Bush deliver that speech on television. Remember when they used to have TVs in the windows of the stores? They actually took in the speech right there. Window, yeah, we don't have that picture, but you get the idea.